Jimmy, speaking of player management, Harley Reid was rested a couple of weeks ago. Really smart by the West Coast Eagles, and he's just doing this. I mean, this was as exciting a bit of football as you could possibly see.
Yeah, it's unbelievable what he's doing over there in the West. You can see even the senior players, the way they react, the crowd, but it's the management. And he did mention on ABC radio the fact that he was getting a bit lonely around his birthday, and that's what happens to all 19-year-olds when you've been used to one thing for so long and then you go the other side of the country. But how do you manage him going forward? Do you start to invite some mates to come over and stay with him every 7 weeks? Do you send him back home for a week or two?
Let's have a listen to what he said on ABC radio.
In April, there's actually 3 of our birthdays, and I miss my sister's, mine too. I got to spend that on my own, so that was probably the worst birthday, but it was good to get back, and I felt like I needed to see the family, and all 3 of us had birthdays, so it was good to connect back there with them, and obviously see Nat and Pa, Uncle, Auntie, so it was good. Sometimes on your day off you just love to drive around and see your family, but obviously you can't, so it was good to get a weekend back home and see the fam.
It's good to take 4 bounces at up the stadium and kick the goal of the year too.
It was a magnificent goal, but that's great management, and that's what clubs do really well. They'll probably look to do that throughout the year, Damien, and family, that's what's important for players at clubs.
Yeah, it is, but he's not the first person, is he, Jimmy, to have to wade through these homesick moments. And we've seen it littered, sports littered with it. And I still take the view, and I'm not saying
every Olympic athlete, or most of them, are over in America on scholarships away from their family and things. So it's not new, and they're not going to get paid $1 million at the end of the year either. So
no,
but you can understand it. And to your point, if you can make life work, if you make people's life better, and they feel almost obliged to you for looking after them.
And I think it's great that
result.
I think it's great he can talk about it too, isn't it? In the context in which he did, and he's still even having that comment about being upset about not being with family. There was almost a smile in his voice, wasn't there, as there is with everything he does.
With that though, Ed, like an Olympic athlete, you are representing yourself, and it's about you. They're in a situation here where this is somebody that, when I say general, once in a 25, 30-year period comes along, in my opinion. So that is where you go to lengths that are different to everybody else. You might say to somebody else, this is an AFL career, you signed up for this $300,000, deal with it, but this is a situation where you do treat someone a little bit differently.
I think it's, as I said, it's great management, but there's kids in every university who have come from overseas to get their chance.
But they're replaceable.
I'm not having a go I'm agreeing with you, but I'm just saying to agree with what you're saying there, Greybeard, because I want to ask you about Ed Langdon. Go on, get a bit old-fashioned on me here. Ed Langdon missed the game that they lost for Melbourne against West Coast because he went to London to his sister's wedding. Yeah,
well, I was asked by Sarah Ollie today on AFL Daily, Ed, and about what I thought of it. And I had the long-term and I suppose the old-school view that you're a footballer between the months of mid-March through to end of August, and I still take that view. Equally, I have a respect for the people who have opinion that's different to mine, including the Melbourne Footy Club, who signed off on it, and Ed himself. But I'm not going to back away from what I've always thought, that you are a footballer. It is a privilege to play, and if you can, and I know there's circumstances where you can't always, but if you can arrange weddings around the timetable outside of those months.
I think there was a mitigation with the family that the wedding had to happen at that stage. I think they had it was over in London on a Friday, so they could get back
family member and
play 47 games in a row. I take your point though. I mean, you don't want people just checking out, but at the same time, I think for somebody like Ed Langdon, he comes back thankful. I mean, I've seen players in the past who have been denied these types of situations. Jordan Lewis was denied to go to a Super Bowl with his family off-season, and it really narked him. It really turned him, and he was an ornament.
That's off-season. I've got no issue with.
But it didn't matter. It didn't matter where it was, and I just think.
Well, it does. He's missed the game of footy. I mean, this is the whereas I'm talking about Ed Langdon.
Yeah, and they got done.
Yeah.
So everyone looks at it. Yeah.
And again, I'm not jumping off the table. But my view won't change. It's to me, as I said, between mid-March, end of August. If you're not playing finals, it goes through.
Well, Lee Matthews didn't want his anyone to have babies in season.
Well, there's an extreme on that point. Yeah,
that made sense. It wasn't so much. Yeah, well, anyway, we'll live with that. Okay. Now. First-year players, I mean, this is the thing. The Harley Reid story is so good. When you look around at the moment, I don't know, Lloydie, you're in this space. Is it just a really good group of players that are coming through? We'll look at Raul in his first 4 games. He got 3 votes, then did his shoulder. And now he's come back after having the problems with his shoulder and is one of the preeminent midfielders in the game. But early on, he was unbelievable. This is him in his first couple of games. How good was this? Unstoppable, as the commentator says there.
In the modern game, I think these are the only guys that can potentially do it, and they don't come around that often. That they're the big-bodied midfielder, Jim, that could have been playing the year before, really. Like, that's how advanced they are. Nick Dacos was another one who...
He would have played as a 17-year-old.
He was ready
Let's
to go.
back. Chris Grant here. He had a reasonable season.
51 goals there and started the year as a 17-year-old and basically played centre-half forward.
And this is one of my favourites who often gets forgotten. Ben Hart. He was playing for Ross Trevor first 18 and then back-to-back All-Australians at 17 and 18 when you had to play on all the big forwards.
In the first 2 years of that club's history.
Yeah, and this is, I think, the greatest. So this is who Harley's chasing in his first year.
That's the answer to everything.
Harley's 19. Johnny Coleman was 20 years of age, Ed.
And kicked 12 in his first game and 100 for the season. Not a bad opening gambit, was it? And there you go. The young and the old combining there with Nick Dacos last year. That 1-2 with Scott Pendlebury just...
And he's still got 11 votes in that 2022 season as an 18-year-old, Nick Dacos. And then would have won it last year had he not got injured late and is now, after the first 3 rounds this year, gone to yet again another level.